So the full text of the Memorandum of Understanding between the United States and Iran has leaked. And let's get into that.
There was a report from Channel 12 that Israel requested to see the MoU, and they were not able to see it. Glad it makes you happy.
Oh, it tickles me. It's very funny. It's funny.
Do you think
greatest ally stuff here?
But do you think we're like, are you starting to be a bit more happy that we may be seeing some sort of shift?
I'm going to enjoy the next 96 hours. I'm just going to tell you that much.
Yeah, he looks like he's having fun. I'm having fun too. Can Israel behave itself for an entire week? We'll find out.
Because, the one thing we know is that President Trump, and it's really a President Trump thing, it's nobody else. He does one thing the one day, and then he can completely reverse course the next. So I'm going to just enjoy the next few days until the signing, because I do think that I think finally the president is realizing we have exhausted all of our conventional military capabilities, and it didn't yield a victory. So he's going to tell himself and the world he did what he needed to, and let's just hope that stays, because he's got another thing he has to contend with, which is the Israelis, who, as you're seeing, are looking for any pressure point they can get. The reason the Israelis want the text of the deal
is so that they can pressure Trump to cancel it. And yes, the media everyone's going to go after him once this details of this MoU leak, which has happened, and that's what's happening. Everyone's going after him because everyone that's pro-Israel in any way, which is the media, most of Congress, and of course Israel, are just attacking Trump nonstop over this MoU.
Is because they want to take it and they want to leak it. And they want to create a firestorm in the American media and in Capitol Hill. Because let's face it, this is not a victory for the United States.
Nope.
This isn't even really a mutual, stalemate situation. The Iranians are getting a conditional surrender from the United States. This is a strategic defeat of the United States.
Yes, it's happening sooner than I expected it to happen in August, but in a way it still is happening in August because 60 days from now is August. And I think that the deal that right now that's on the table, it's going to become even more in Iran's favor in the future because the situation in the oil market's not getting better. It's going to get worse over the summer. We're going to start running out shortages in July. And July's right around the corner. And the flow of oil from the Persian Gulf isn't going to start up fast enough to counteract that. And so Iran's going to be even a stronger position come August. And I think they'll get everything they want.
The United States, unfortunately, and Trump knows if the text of that gets out and is pushed out to the media, especially by people hostile to him in Tel Aviv, it's over for him. He's going to lose everything. He'll have the...
Thing is, the text is going to get out at some point anyway. Maybe he can keep it quiet till Friday, but eventually he needs to tell the world what he agreed to. And it's the political damage when that happens is unavoidable. Whether it happens now or on Friday, what does it matter?
The Fox News crew coming at him, they already are, but armed with the text of the deal before the signing happens.
Fox News is turning on him already?
Yeah, I've been...
everyone
so
will.
I don't have cable...
We are in the uniparty country, and this is a uniparty issue. Even the liberal media, CNN or whatever, was supporting Trump in this Iran war. That shows you that he does something the establishment wants. Even the hostile media is friendly to him. He does something that the establishment doesn't want. Everyone in the media turns against him.
I haven't had cable for 6 years, ever since Fox called Arizona
cable
for Biden. That's
based. That was unforgivable for me too. Calling Arizona for Biden made no sense based on the data available at the time. And it was part of the fix. So, don't trust Fox News. When Tucker was on it, at least you had one commentator you could trust. But nowadays...
That's how we can watch Fox News in this country. I don't have cable.
No one has cable. I mean, no one has cable. That's what I was saying.
Right. No, I get it. No, the boomers do, and the boomers are who watch Fox News. But
Trump apparently watches 3 hours of Fox News a day. Isn't that terrible?
But so I did on Twitter, I'm seeing clips. It looks like not just Mark Levin, but it looks like other shows on Fox are having General Jack Keane, who's a notorious neoconservative Institute for the Study of War, etc. They're having him on, and they're having all these so-called experts, the usual suspects who got us into Iraq, who lost Afghanistan to the Taliban. All these guys are coming out of the woodwork.
Yes, the champions of the United States have just fucked us over so many times.
Fox News to basically pressure the president. Mike Pence.
John Bolton, maybe? I mean, he's one of the oldies, like all the way from the Iraq War was he fucking us over with weapons of mass destruction that Iraq didn't have, etc. And he's been around the Washington establishment ever since. And the news media always, chiming in with his completely unhelpful commentary.
Looks like, in his infinite wisdom, has come out and said he has grave concerns about the deal. Well, we have grave concerns about Mike Pence. But anyway, the point here is, unfortunately, this is not America winning. But what this is, if Trump sticks to it, which I don't think he can, but if he does.
Yeah, I've been saying that too. That I don't think Trump can stick to this MoU. This is basically a surrender to Iran. Not right now, because there isn't an oil shortage. There isn't the panic on the part of world leaders, of Republicans in Congress. I mean, Republicans in Congress, gas prices are still normal, more or less, in the United States. So they are completely at the back of the Israeli lobby. Of course, gas prices go up to $6, $7 a gallon. Then the priority for Republicans in Congress becomes getting that gas price down. And they'll tell Israel to go fuck themselves, because no amount of AIPAC money will save them from $7 a gallon gas. In other words, I think there's a very real chance that Trump will be forced to back down from this MOU, now that, with its leaking now. But we'll see. If he's smart, he won't, because he'll have to agree to it anyway, come August or even July. So might as well do it now and lessen the overall pain.
As this is an off-ramp, not just to get us out of the war, not to end the war, to get us out of the war. It also could potentially allow us to extricate ourselves militarily from this most problematic region for us. Do I think it's going to happen, Mario? Like I said, I'm going to enjoy the next 96 hours, because 60 days is really what this buys us. 60 days. And then what happens on day 61?
You're not going to only enjoy the next 93 hours. You're going to enjoy the next 93 days and weeks. I think there's so many cans being kicked down the road. I was going through the MOU, leaked by Iran. The way it's worded, like phase 1, both sides declare an immediate, complete, and permanent end to all hostilities in the region, including Lebanon. Fine. That's the only clear thing. And phase 1 again, the U.S. declares the immediate and complete lifting of the U.S. naval blockade against Iran. Clear. Phase 2, the U.S. confirms its commitment to non-interference in Iran's domestic affairs and respect for the sovereignty of Iran. Fine.
That's meaningless. Of course, Trump can declare that, and next month he decides to bomb them again. It means absolutely nothing. Just like when Iran says it promises not to pursue nukes, it doesn't mean anything either. They've been saying that for 40 years, and it may be true, but you know what? The past 40 years, it was probably true. This time, it's probably the least true it's ever been when Iran says it's not pursuing nuke, because the leader that issued a fatwa against getting nukes, he's dead. And Iran has more reasons than ever to acquire a nuke, so we'll have to see.
Fine. The U.S. affirms that it will not increase the amount of troops or military assets present in the region, nor impose any new sanctions during the negotiations. Fine, that's for 60 days, unless they both agree to extend the period, which they will have to. Negotiations take months, not days.
Yes, they took 3 years for the JCPOA that Obama negotiated. 3 years. These things aren't done fast.
3, Iran reaffirms its commitment to the Non-Proliferation Treaty and confirms that it will never produce, develop, or acquire a nuclear weapon. That's a big one, Brandon.
Yes, it's a huge one.
They've promised not to build a nuclear weapon for the first time ever. Next one. The U.S. declares...
Let me just interject there. I will say that the intelligence community under Tulsi Gabbard repeatedly assessed that they did not actually have nuclear...
The Supreme Leader himself has...
So I'm skeptical.
I can't believe... I just can't believe that. They assessed that Iran wasn't pursuing a nuke. Then why did we start this war? No, I'm kidding.
I'm skeptical, though. I mean, of that. I mean, it's possible they've had... I mean, David Pine also, and I've said this for years, they probably do have some capability. But...
According to Larry Johnson, they might already have a nuke. So if Larry Johnson's... his bit of intel about that is maybe they're agreeing to give it up if Trump goes along and does this. I don't know, but I would get a nuke if I was Iran at this point. So we'll have to see.
Is that a big deal? I guess saying it on paper is a big deal.
Not at all. No, I'm being sarcastic. It's not a big
I
deal.
was to say, because sorry.
They've said it on paper.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
being sarcastic. They've said it on paper a million times.
Exactly.
It's their fatwa. Their
Exactly.
fatwa says we're not going to build a nuclear weapon. So I'm just
Yes.
being facetious. Sorry, I didn't.
No, I'm sorry.
If you believe me, means the comments did. So you saved me a lot of embarrassment for the audience. I'm being facetious here. I don't think this is a big
Facetious means he was joking.
achievement. Don't
It's my
attack me.
fault. I should listen more carefully.
The U.S. declares that it will provide Iran with half of its frozen assets. There's no way it's worded this way. There's no way it's worded the U.S. agrees it will provide that because Trump said it himself. It's not included. I think it will be the Gulf countries coming together. So we'll provide them 12.
Iran is getting money equivalent to its frozen assets. So it's getting a loan backed by its frozen assets. It's getting its money, basically. But they're setting it up so Trump can pretend he's not giving them their money. For stupid people. For the Asmongold of the world.
$billion
No offense to Asmongold, but he lets himself be fooled way too often with regard to Iran.
to be made available in a non-reversible manner within 30 days, with a commitment to make the remaining half available during the subsequent 60 days. 3 more points. The U.S. will issue sanctions waiver for Iranian oil, gas, and petrochemical exports effective immediately, with a commitment to extend these waivers permanently once a final agreement is reached. All of it is what concessions for Iran. All of it is concessions for Iran. The U.S. will begin immediate consultations with Israel. Okay, this is the vague one. This is where the ambiguity begins. When it comes to Israel withdrawing from Lebanon, which I've always had doubts about, that's how they were.
I don't. Put it this way. Hezbollah, before it started this conflict with Israel, before it started launching rockets into Israel, which they could have predicted, just like we could have predicted the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, if Hezbollah sends rockets into Israel, Israel is going to invade Lebanon. It's like clear as day. If I was Hezbollah, I would have gotten guarantees to not be abandoned by the Iranians. That before I entered the war, they say, don't worry, we've got your back. We'll make sure that Israel doesn't seize any Lebanese land. That's what I would have done if I was Hezbollah. I'm sure Iran is very intent in making sure that Israel does not annex any Lebanese land. Despite what Mario thinks.
Not going to happen.
I agree.
Yeah.
The U.S. will begin immediate consultations with Israel, fuck that means, to present a short-term time frame for a full Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon, including points occupied after the 2024 Israel-Hezbollah agreement.
So it's in the MoU that Israel will begin planning to get the fuck out of Lebanon. It's a serious Iranian concern, but one of its red lines, I'm sure.
So-
I have a feeling they went in the room. They're like, we both know it's not going to happen, but let's word it in a way that sounds nice, so the Lebanese people believe that we're getting the Israelis out. But nothing's going to happen from
Well,
this.
and I would just say, again, this is why my optimism and my hopefulness is
I think it'll happen in August. In August, things will be so bad in the oil market. Trump will say to Israel, get the fuck out of Lebanon. Before then, maybe not.
very seriously tempered here, because I think the third or fourth point you mentioned pertained to Israel basically standing down. We don't have any control over the Israelis, not right now. Okay, we could.
Exactly. No control over the Israelis, no control over Republicans in Congress, which will be necessary to pass sanctions relief on Iran, for example. Trump doesn't really have the leverage to fully capitulate to Iran right now. But $7 a gallon gas changes things. It makes the entire rest of the world basically. You might have places like Japan sanctioning Israel just to put pressure on them to get out of Lebanon, because everyone sees it. That's the thing holding it up, because come August, Iran's going to say, we're closing Strait of Hormuz unless Israel gets out of Lebanon, and the entire rest of the world will force Israel to get out of Lebanon. And Republican in Congress at that point will be desperate to get gas prices down. Yeah. What Trump needs to make this deal, the political strength, that comes from high oil prices. And we're not there yet.
exercise control, but that would require Congress, and Congress is not going to do it. We already see what they're doing right now, trying to backdoor Israeli permanent alliance, through the ND.
Which is absolutely insane. Not only trying to merge the military, but trying to merge CIA and Mossad, make it intelligence sharing permanently. So anything the United States knows, Israel knows too. And by the way, it doesn't work the other way around. Israel undoubtedly keeps secrets from us.
DAA and the Intelligence Authorization Act for next year. So, it would require Congress to be on board with this, and they're not. So, this idea that we're going to get this deal and it's going to last because we're going to be able to restrain the Israelis. No, and the Iranians keep doing this thing where they keep saying the two sides shall, not do more in Lebanon or whatever. It's not a two-sided war. It's a three-sided war. Okay? Yeah, the U.S. and Israeli are aligned, kind of, but clearly they're not also.
Not really. They're also not aligned at all. And it's not really only a three-sided war. It's four-sided, I'd say. It's there's Iran, Israel, Trump, and the U.S. establishment, U.S. deep state. And U.S. deep state, Israel, those two are more aligned, but Trump is definitely not aligned with... he doesn't want to go down with the ship. Doesn't want global economy to completely crater. And, yeah.
And clearly the U.S. side is not in control. So if I were sitting in Iran, and I said this on another show yesterday, if I were sitting in Iran, I wouldn't even put up the facade of trying to pretend like there's a two-sided war. This is a three-sided war. The Israelis are doing their own thing, like they always do, and they're not going to listen to the Americans. The only way this is going to work is if we listen to Joe Kent, and if we start telling the Israelis, if you don't back down now permanently...
Normies on the left are waking up to it, though. My mom even mentioned Robert Maxwell. I told her to look at Ghislaine's sister. Yep. It's, well, if they've learned about Pizzagate, that's great. Because, yeah, and that whole crowd.
We're cutting you off tomorrow. But again, that requires Congress. And it's not, well, actually, let me rephrase that. Right now, technically, the president does have a lot of leeway to pull things back because these are all executive.
Also, the fact that Trump signed this MoU, that confirms what I believed from the beginning. He was tricked into this war. I mean, he would, he wants to get out of it. He thought it'd be over in 3 days. He thought it wasn't be another Venezuela. So he isn't controlled by Israel. He was tricked by Israel. And you can't get mad at Netanyahu publicly because he keeps claiming that we won this and that this MOU is us winning. So he can't publicly get mad with Netanyahu. But I know he's not too happy with the guy.
Agreements with Israel. But under the new NDAA and the Intelligence Authorization Act for next year, that all changes. Congress is getting involved for next year, and they're taking more control from the president because they want permanent aid going to Israel no matter what. But for now, Trump could call up Netanyahu if he really wanted to, and he's not. But if he really wanted to, he could call up and say, yo, we're done. You're not getting another thing from us unless you do what we're asking you to do. But because he won't, that indicates to me he's the junior partner. This is not going to last, this deal. So just enjoy the next few days and while you can.
But that changes. Oil prices changes the dynamic because Israeli influence isn't unlimited. And complete economic collapse is a pretty powerful motivator for Congress.
Do we agree that, before continuing to go through the clauses of the MOU, do we agree that Trump, at least right now, is trying hard to choose America first instead of Israel first, or no?
I think outwardly, I think you could say superficially, yes. I think the deeper...
Well, it's the most American first out of any of the options available, but none of them is good for America. It's just, this is the least bad option. Yes, it's the least bad option, and therefore it is America first.
Her issue is Trump is putting himself first.
Well, sometimes he is a U.S. president, so hopefully his interests and America's interests align some of the time.
For the first time in a long time when it comes to Israel.
I forgot about Trump first. That's another important
There's
reason.
Trump first. There's
Yes.
America first. There's Trump first. There's Israel first. So Trump is not a dumb man.
And for putting Trump first, this Iran war was the worst thing in the world. Iran war was Trump last. It was finished. Yeah, I'm still 100% on the position that this Iran war is going to finish Trump politically. It's unavoidable. He's just He's squirming and flailing, but it's dragging him down the hill no matter what he does.
He fully understands that his political future is on the line. Here's the deal. You know, one of the things
His political future is finished. The only question is the speed. It's finished. It's finished at. That's pretty much the only question.
that I keep harping on, and I know I mentioned it to you last week, but this is now becoming very clear. The Iranians are not going to just let
the MoU just leaked. Sorry, the MoU just leaked to Axios.
Yes, that's what we were waiting for.
which means somebody in the Israeli intelligence services got a hold of it, and they
reported-
laundered it
reported
through
by-
Barak Ravid.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want me to go through it quickly?
Real quick, I would speculate. I wouldn't be surprised if the Trump administration shared the text with somebody on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and somebody there leaked it to Barack on
No,
behalf
I have
of
another
Israel.
theory. I have another theory. I think this is Trump trying to control the rhetoric, leaking a fake one so
Sure.
people get lost when the new one
Possibly, who knows?
comes out. No one has.
Well,
any
he's
fucking
known to
idea
do
what
that.
it is.
He is known to do that. Yeah.
You think? All right, so,
I don't know if it's fake though, because it seems that from this leaked one, Israel hates it, and so
there we go. We'll only know when we go through the points. Number one, Iran, the US, and their allies will cease hostilities, including in Lebanon. Fine. Iran reiterates its commitment to not develop or acquire a nuclear weapon. Fine. US and Iran pledged to resolve issues of disposal of enriched uranium.
pledge.
Okay. I mean,
We
look,
promised to do something
right.
about it.
It's
It's
vague.
included.
I mean, look, remember, 48 hours
I mean, Iran could just dispose of them by refining it, putting into a few nuclear bombs, and storing it neatly away. That's one way to dispose of the uranium.
ago, Trump was truth socialing that he can get the dust, the nuclear dust, whenever he pleases. It's not a concern for him. It's not a pressing issue right now. So, he's kicking that can down the road, I think.
It's your
And Iranians forced this, by the way. They want, in this initial MOU, they didn't want anything about the nuclear issue. Something they discuss over the next 60 days.
fault you're reading his posts. Don't bring it on us. All of us stopped a while ago. Number three, US and Iran pledged to resolve. Okay, number four, US and Iran discuss.
I never read Trump's post. The only times I read Trump's post is when some news show read it out loud, and I hear it that way. I don't even think I'm subscribed to Trump, because he posts way too often. It's annoying.
Enrichment issue and Iran's nuclear needs. That's a big commitment. US and Iran to discuss enrichment issue and Iran's nuclear needs.
Which means
That's
they're
very
getting,
meaningful.
they're getting
Iran's nuclear needs. Because before the war, as far as Trump was concerned, Iran had no nuclear needs. No enrichment was his position before the war. Now he's recognizing that Iran does have valid nuclear needs. It's a 180 change on his position.
nuclear technology. That's what that means.
Next one, Iran will maintain status quo on its nuclear program as long as negotiations continue, so it will remain as is. Number five, I think I'm up to, whatever it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number six, the US will lift the blockade, not impose new sanctions, and will not increase forces in the region during the negotiations. That's true. Number seven, Iran will make the necessary arrangements to ensure safe passage of commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz.
Now,
Free
Necessary measures to arrange safe passage through the Strait of
of
Hormuz.
charge for
Now.
60 days.
oh yeah, for 60
Free of charge for 60 days.
Right, that's what I was getting ready to say before you started reading this. Yeah, no, for 60 days, yes, there will be a reversion to
No fee?
No fee. What they're doing, though, you got to pay attention to this. So all the ships that are now going through the Strait of Hormuz since the MOU was electronically signed, they're having to follow the
Demarcation line.
well, that too, but it's the TSS, the transportation
Traffic separation.
Traffic separation scheme. Yes. They're having to follow that, and that was created by Iran during the war as part of this bureaucracy in the Port Authority of Iran that's going to extract tolls. I wrote a piece at
Now or after?
Yes, the entire point of this bureaucracy is to extract tolls. And if they're getting ships to abide by it, they're getting ships ready to accept tolls.
60 days.
They're doing it now. They're not extracting tolls. What they're doing is they're making
This might be smart by Iran, because in 60 days they'll be in much better negotiating position because of the shortages in the oil market. So it's be a perfect time to start imposing tolls.
the ships coordinate with this new TSS, which I argue is an implicit shift from de facto Iranian control over the strait to de jure Iranian control over the strait. They're just going to drag it out for 60 days. They're not going to collect a toll, but they're getting everybody who uses the strait acclimated to dealing with this new Iranian bureaucracy. It ain't going away. And on day 61, they're getting $1 to $2 million per ship going through there with oil.
Yep. I agree.
Interesting.
And I think what you're reading sounds a lot like Trump. It says 60 days. Trump knows full well what happens on day 61, irrespective of whether we're going to do another round of negotiations or an extension. Everybody understands what that means. Day 61, they start charging tolls.
Yeah. But what's important to Trump, I think, was getting the oil flowing. And without tolls for now, and kicking the can down the road on that. And that is smart of Trump, too, because every day the Strait of Hormuz is completely closed, no oil flowing, it's a day where more leverage falls into the Iranian hands and global oil inventories fall lower.
Okay, Iran will make the necessary arrangement free of charge. Okay, U.S. pledges to make frozen Iranian assets available for use with implementation of MoU.
So, yeah, Trump was saying no giving them money, no unfrozen assets. But apparently, the reality is different.
Well, there it is.
Okay, that must have been a leak to include that. That must have been a genuine leak.
Yes, a genuine leak. Yes, this isn't Trump leaking something fake. This is a real one. Because I think that what he'll announce to the world, Trump, will be like no unfrozen assets. Oh, Qatar is just deciding to loan them some money for some reason that we know nothing about.
Well, you know, that got out before, and yesterday J.D. Vance went out and tried to walk that back, saying, no, there's going to be timeline there. They're not going to automatically get it. You and I both know they're getting that money.
Yeah.
They're getting that money because this, again, is a conditional surrender document by Uncle Sam to the Iranians. This is not a deal. This, you call it a memorandum
Conditional surrender. Perfect.
of understanding, whatever you want to call it, but this is a conditional surrender document by us to them. Trump wants...
Unconditional surrender is when you surrender completely and you don't put any conditions. This is different. This is us surrendering with conditions, like agreeing to an MOU that's entirely in Iran's favor. Conditional surrender.
out. Whether he can get out is another question, but he's trying to do whatever he can to quickly extricate himself. And the reason is, Mario, not just the military issue. The reason is tank bottoms here in the United States, beginning June 22nd, will begin to deplete. We will hit the tank bottom. Exxon and Chevron have confirmed this. They reported this to the president personally.
June 22nd. That's earlier than I thought. I thought it was scheduled for July. But I guess it depends at what rate Trump depletes the strategic reserves. If he accelerates that, I think he could easily push it back into July, the time we run out of oil.
2 weeks ago. And I think that's another reason why the president suddenly shifted to trying to get this MOU, because he realizes once those buffers start running out, we're going to go to $105, $110, $120 a barrel gas, and there won't be anything here in the United States to sort of tamp that down.
The purpose of the strategic reserve is to prevent that huge spike, to moderate it. But it was mismanaged, and we just wasted away in the 3.5 months of this war without accomplishing anything.
We will then be subject to the true global price of oil, not whatever the traders are making it up as right now. Right now it's at $79, I think, dollars a barrel. This is the irrational exuberance phase before the crash, I think.
The crash.
Oh, absolutely. And on that note, I just saw the same thing happen. Wheat prices, historical. This period. So this was the period where in 2009, this planting season, right here, there was crop disasters across the United States. But notice the price goes down because the USDA, the media, the financial world, USDA started forecasting larger and larger crop forecasts of what the United States would produce. So it tanked the price. That allowed, I think it's derivative market, couldn't allow the rapid rise in price. So instead, they pretended that there was tons and tons of wheat available, tanked the price, but when reality came in, you go from $2.50 basically all the way up to basically $9. $2.50. That is what happens. That is market manipulation. What should have happened in a normal world is the price right here. It should have gone up to 6 and just stayed here the entire time, and then never goes up to 9. That's what's happening in the oil market right now. It went up, but it was held at $100 a barrel, and this right here. You have a huge amount of derivatives that are sold on oil. They couldn't let the financial markets would have collapsed if oil went directly to 150. And so what they did, what this is right here, this is tanking the price of oil so that the big banks that have derivative positions in oil, right now they are using this time to reposition themselves for higher oil prices. And by the end of the month, probably, or before, in July for sure, oil will shoot up to 150. It will. Now the price, what it should have been all along when the Strait of Hormuz were closed, this deal is the opportunity for the financial world to reposition themselves, for the financial system to get out of its bad derivative positions. When everyone thinks everything's resolved, oil's going down to $60 a barrel. You hear that nonsense on the media right now. That is the media, Trump, the financial system, everyone, futures, manipulation on the futures market, everything combining to drive down the price of oil for now so that big banks can reposition themselves in derivative markets and not get crushed when oil jumps to 150, which will happen this summer. That's the reality.
Oil price crashing more.
No, what I mean is the economy's we're going to have an economic crash here because the oil prices are going to spike. We don't have any more buffers.
Oil or gas? You mean WTI or gas prices?
Yeah. Everything you're seeing right now in the entire energy market right now is divorced from reality. The reality.
Absolutely. You have to understand, there are huge number of derivatives being traded every day too. And a spike in oil that just Strait of Hormuz closes, oil goes directly to 150. That crashes the financial system. You had big banks have these huge position derivatives that they need to get out of. So they hold oil down for those three and a half months. Then they have this agreement, oil tanks down, and then banks can be prepared, are right now repositioning themselves in the derivative market for higher oil prices. And that actually means that this makes war more likely again, because one of the anchors weighing down on Trump was this financial danger of financial collapse because of high oil prices. Now there's only the economic collapse. At this point, financial collapse is no longer in the cards. The banks have gotten out of it by holding it down 3.5 months and by crashing oil prices to 80. Now the banks can reposition themselves. They won't go under if oil prices spike to 150. So it's going to be one big weight off Trump's back. And the next one is that just outright economic collapse as the economy shuts down under high oil prices this summer. That's his next problem.
I think they factored all this in. They have the information.
They're not factoring that. They're not factoring in the long-term damage. We are going to have higher prices here in the United States at the pump. That is going to happen.
Yes.
They are not factoring that in. They keep saying, well, no, it's not going to be that bad. I'm telling you, I think Trump knows we're hitting tank bottom, and that's another reason why he started trying to expedite the MoU, because he's panicking. If we don't start getting stuff moving through the strait now, I think he knows that we're going to have
things are moving.
They're slowly moving. They're not fully moving, and they're going according to the Iranian scheme. Again, this is important to understand. They are moving through the strait in a limited fashion right now. My understanding remains of the 60 days.
There are a lot of places in the Gulf that are shut down, shut in. That means when all the oil tanks near the oil production site are full, and there's no way to store the oil, they have to turn off the well, and that it takes like a month, 2 months. Maybe 3 months sometimes to get the oil well running again.
Iranians have up to 30 days to fully restore the shipping. And again, I don't see any indication that Iran is going to just suddenly let everybody through. They're already making them go through this new scheme. This is a prelude to them taking operational control in the long term in the form of some tolling system, which also, by the way, will have to now be permanently factored in to shipping going through there because they're going to have to pay the toll if they want to get through.
After the 30 or 60 days.
Yeah.
But that 60 days could be delayed, by the way. Both parties could delay it. If it
Sure. No, there's no doubt there's probably some wiggle room there. But I think the end result is the same, whether it's in 61 days or if it's in 181 days. It doesn't.
If you just look at the Strait of Hormuz, this is about the same as it's been the entire time. 2 tankers in the oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz traveling through. That's not normal traffic level. So we're nowhere near the Strait of Hormuz being open again.
Doesn't really matter. I think the point is that we know where this is going. What Trump is doing right now is he's just trying to get through. It's a patch. Everything's a patch. You know, it's like the guy who's always 2 weeks away.
If you get into an Iranian war with no plan, all you can do is just makeshift solutions, patches, like he says. If there was any type of grand strategy on Trump's part, this Iran war would never have happened.
Away from bankruptcy. Just give me 2 more weeks. Give me 2 more weeks. That's all this is. He's just getting a patch to get through. And by the way, we can't also discount the fact that he just wants to get through the midterms. And if he can get through the midterms, I mean, he said this the other day. He said, well, we can always just start dropping bombs after the midterms. So, there is a political calculation.
And where are these bombs going to come from, Trump? Didn't you? We don't have any bombs to drop. We have still 50% of our stock left in a lot of these munitions. We used 50% during the first half. But why would be dropping the other half of our bombs succeed wherein dropping the first half didn't work? It makes no sense.
Here, and Trump is keenly aware that his party is on the losing side right now of things, and he's got to figure out how can he stabilize the situation, spin it as a win when everybody outside of America knows it ain't a win, and then how do I get through the midterms? Because if he loses the midterms, like I think he's
going to lose the midterms.
Going to, he will be impeached. Now, he might not get removed, but they are going to.
I was saying this week 1 of the war. The Iran holds the Strait of Hormuz closed 6 months. Democrats win the midterms. Trump gets impeached. It was obvious right from the first week of the war.
And neuter his presidency this time next year.
You still think let's go through the MoU.
Yeah.
U.S. pledges to make okay, that's a big one. I just read it, but I'll read it again because it is significant. U.S. pledges to make frozen Iranian assets available for use with implementation of MoU. If a final agreement is reached, the U.S. will withdraw its forces within 30 days and lift all sanctions on Iran.
All sanctions. That's not just sanctions on oil. That's all sanctions. You have to send to try to get that, to try to get sanction relief. Iran negotiated with Obama for 3 years, did the JCPOA. Then Iran abided by everything in the JCPOA for a few years after that. And sanctions were supposed to slowly be released, and it all failed them. And Trump came in, ripped up the JCPOA, no sanction release. Now, Trump is giving them complete sanction relief.
We have to because we need the oil now.
Yep.
I mean, let's
all
get clear.
sanctions on Iran. How can Trump pass it through Congress?
Well, that's the big question now, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's another reason to be skeptical.
No.
That's why we need $7 a gallon gas. Because Congress will be very motivated to pass sanction relief at that point if it means that gas prices might come down.
Lifting all sanctions on Iran. There is no way this is real.
And this is from Trump's account, you said?
This is from Axios, Trump's account. Axios posted this.
Well, it's Bibi's account.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So that is going to be
crazy.
That's going to be the. So here's the deal. They've already reduced, though. Remember, we temporarily, in the middle of the war that we were supposedly just dominating.
Yes.
Besant did let Iranian energy.
Week 1 of the war, we lifted sanctions on Iranian oil. That's how desperate. That's why I meant keeping a lid on oil prices, and the entire U.S. financial system was at stake. Is if that wasn't the case, the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury would not have lifted sanctions on Iranian oil week 1 of the war.
Sources go onto the market. He also let the Russians. He loosened them from certain restrictions because we were already at that point straining our buffers, and he wanted to kind of keep it, drag that out. something similar, I think, is going to happen. We're going to have to integrate fully the Iranians long term into the global energy market because there's not enough buffers now. It's going to take a long time to replenish. I read a report today. I think it was, might have even been Axios, but I read a report this morning saying that the buffers, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, is the lowest it's been in America since the Reagan administration. Now,
Isn't that when the reserve started?
Yep.
yeah, that's the point. That's the point.
That's
Is that
the
it's
worst
the,
ever.
Yeah, when the strategic reserve started, it was empty, and it was lower than it is today at that point.
That's the worst ever. Now compare that to China. China's still mostly sitting on their 1.4 billion reserve.
China's sitting pretty.
Okay, barrel reserve. So, this is not a good situation for the United States. Trump knows all this. He's been briefed. I know Chevron and Exxon 2 weeks ago briefed him on this. So he's aware that we don't have the depth anymore to keep this going, at least not right now. Now, maybe in 8 months we restart. I don't know. But I do think that's another reason why he had this sudden reversal because, up until a week or so ago, he was very much on board with letting Netanyahu have free reign.
Man, now we understand why Trump is threatening to wipe out a civilization. You know how freaking mental these demands are? They're lifting all sanctions. Look at the next one.
Well,
Any
they're mental
final
for
agreement-
us. They're not mental for the Iranians, though.
No.
It's very rational for the Iranians.
Mental. Right, look at the
And the thing is, Iran's going to be in an even better position for negotiations in 2 months when the final deal is set, because by then there'll be actual shortages in the oil markets. Oh my God, they done this. They did this smartly.
next one. Any final agreement will include a plan to establish a $300 billion fund for Iran's reconstruction.
Let's just be clear. This was not originally an Iranian demand. Trump floated this a few weeks ago when he was trying to figure out.
Unless it was a demand behind the scenes, we don't know what was behind the scenes.
That's true. That's fair. But Trump, I remember, because again, Trump is a lot like LBJ. LBJ during the Vietnam War was sitting.
This $300 billion fund, it's not going to come from the U.S. Trump is going to raise it through private investors for investments into Iran. I think that's how it's going to work.
You can listen to the LBJ presidential tapes. They're fascinating. At the beginning of the war, he's saying, I just got to be able to get through to Ho Chi Minh to let him know I can build schools for him if he just stops fighting me. I can build him schools. I can build him, malls and grocery stores and make them. And he didn't understand who he was dealing with. It's not what Ho Chi Minh wanted. Well, it's the same thing here. I think Trump, on some level, is perplexed by who he's dealing with in Iran. Why don't they just want to work with me? I can make them rich. I can give them, the Riviera. Why don't they just want to throw down their arms and be buddies with me? He doesn't understand who he's dealing with. So I'm sure on some level he's open to this idea that we'll do a $300 billion reconstruction project as long as Witkoff and Kushner are cut in. Everyone will be happy. But he doesn't get it. He doesn't get what this is why he should have never done this war. He's not a wartime president, and that's not why we elected him. We elected him to make America great again.
Listen, watch me get all the hate, but I mean this. I've been saying this for weeks. I stand
That's why we elected him, to make America great again.
by what I say. Trump
But he threw his second presidency away in this Iran war.
deserves credit. If he actually means this deal and he's actually going to move with it, he deserves a lot of criticism for this stupid war, and I've criticized him more than most. But he deserves credit if this leak is real. For a president to be able to do this,
It is better than the alternatives, which is not doing a deal and just letting oil market just get worse and worse and worse until he's forced to do a deal. Doing this deal now and getting oil starting to flow now will make the crisis somehow more manageable. There'll still be a crisis in the oil market, but it will now be a crisis that the oil from the flow through Strait of Hormuz will return to normal maybe around September. October, September. And at that point, we can limp towards the end of the year with that flow, with no buffers in the global inventories, but with just an amount of oil. And then maybe next year we can start building our oil buffers back up. The summer's still going to be shit. If he hadn't done that, if he just waited 2 more months or until August, till he's basically forced to capitulate to Iran, then it would have been like November, basically midterm election day, when the flow of oil returned to normal. And Republicans would have been completely screwed in midterms. they're still completely screwed, but they're, I don't know, add another adjective to it, they're completely, totally screwed in this little bit other worse scenario. Then there was escalating and having the entire Gulf go up in flames, which is something worse than the Great Depression globally. And let's not discuss it because it's too terrible to even think about.
With Iran, the amount of resistance and attacks he'll face are going to be unrelenting. So that's going to be a very...
Yes, and it's that reality that, in my mind, told me that this could not be solved until July, August, when the oil shortage hit. Because oil shortage will change the political dynamic. Leaders around the world will start pressuring the United States and Israel. You have Republicans in Congress panicking about the midterms. It'll be an entirely different ballgame than it is today. So this is the deal, or that I thought Trump would be forced to accept in August. And I don't know if he has the political capital to push it through today.
Very difficult deal to make
again,
happen.
It is a surrender. This is a surrender document.
It is a surrender document.
It's a surrender. So I don't know how proud as an American I could get about, I never supported this war, but it is kind of disheartening to see, 30 years ago, we're standing like giants atop the world. The Soviet Union collapses. The Berlin Wall comes down bloodlessly.
We were the one superpower of the world. How we have fallen.
The dominant power, nobody questions that. And now 31 or so years later, look at where we are now. We're surrendering to the mullahs. This is not
surrendering to the mullahs. It's true. It's so sad.
Good look for anybody. But I agree with you. Trump should do this rather than escalate. If this is the only thing that we can do short of escalating, and there's really no other way to escalate, because I talked to David Pine about this earlier today too. We have exhausted our options militarily at the conventional level. As David said, the only thing now to do is if we're going to escalate, it's nuclear war then. Well, what are we going to do? And thankfully, the president will not do that. So, if this is what we have to do, then that's fine. But, it does hurt as an American. This is a defeat.
I'll make you feel a bit better. This is probably something some people would disagree with me on. The U.S. has the capability to destroy Iran. I think the world knows this. If Trump...
Yes, but how the war starts matters. One, you need popular support for the war. Because without popular support, you start it with no popular support, you have no ability to take casualties. How the fuck are you going to win a war where you have no ability to take casualties? You're not. Two, you have to have a plan for a Strait of Hormuz closure. Either enormous buffers that'll see you through the entire length of the war, like fill the strategic reserve up to the brim and get your allies to store oil too, so the entire world is flush with oil going into the closure of Strait of Hormuz. And then have a solid plan for winning within like a year time frame or getting the Strait of Hormuz open. Then, So there, two, having a plan for the closure of Strait of Hormuz. Three, having the troops set up to go in and take the coastline and, to go in on the ground and defeat Iran. We can. If we mobilize the entire U.S. economy, get like 1 million troops into the Middle East. And 1 million troops, we go in, we could take out Iran. We'd have high casualties doing this. High casualties. And I mean, if somehow the future of the United States actually depended on defeating Iran, which it doesn't, we could do it. But that's not how this war started. We just decided to bomb the supreme leader with no troops in the region whatsoever, no plan for the closure of Strait of Hormuz, no political will for this war. So we started this war from a position of absolute weakness. So of course we're going to lose.
Trump made the decision.
You can drop
to
a
start
sub on
striking
that.
their energy. Exactly. Moving away from WMD is striking their energy infrastructure, wasting more munitions. It's more that the reason it wasn't done is just not worth it. You'll waste more munitions, but more importantly, Iran would fuck up the global economy. So militarily, there is a lot of concerns. The fact that the US faced the damage it did face in their bases, the fact that only destroyed 20 to 30% of the missile launchers. True, that is a really, really bad look. It's how unprepared the US military to deal with the Iranian drones. But I think this is the big mistake, the big F up was Trump dragging the world into this war. This is him trying.
Yes. Bombing Iran's supreme leader. This is him trying to fix it, but you break a $1 million vase, you could try gluing it back together, but it's not worth $1 million again.
Trying to put a band-aid on that big F up. Now, you know,
He didn't drag us into the war, though. It was Israel. He followed Israel. Go ahead.
I'll tell you how.
He was tricked by Israel. Because if he knew the war was going to be going to be something that destroys his presidency, he would have started it. The only way to get Trump into this Iran war is to trick him.
Much worse it is the Gulf is pissed off at the US for obvious reasons for dragging him into this war. Asia because it's suffering economically more than anyone. Europe because they're suffering economically as well. China, but who cares about China? It's a rival of the US. So all these are American allies. Australia as well, my country, all of them suffering because of this war. And now even Israel is pissed off at Trump. And
even Israel's pissed off at Trump now. Is there anyone that's happy? Maybe Russia. From Russia's perspective, this is great. It's completely weakened the United States. There's no one talking about sending tomahawks to Ukraine anymore. And the NATO's deterrence has never been lower. Oil prices are now higher, so Russia's oil, its revenue is up. So I think Russia might be the one place that's happy with Trump for starting this war. Although Iran is its ally, the results for Russia are great.
US. Yeah. I'm speaking to people from Israel. They're really upset.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Conricus yesterday tell me, Mario, I'm paraphrasing. It's abandoning the Israeli alliance. And
the term that I heard was betrayal. That's the term.
Betrayal.
Yes,
betrayal.
And there's polls in the US. In
betrayal, the temerity of Israel after all the support and all these years, they dare issue the word betrayal.
I should have saved it. I'll try to find it now. But his popularity, Trump's popularity in Israel dropped from 58 to 38. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I saw that this morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Israeli population is fickle.
Yeah, but at the end of the day,
Reuters just reported more than...
That's why I want to see a Nux reaction after he learns the terms of this MoU, because he's going to be in the part that flips on Trump, and as one of Trump's big supporters, how is he going to react? Oh my God!
Half of the $300 billion in reparations for Iran has already been committed.
It's good to know that, Mike. I posted this when that was first announced last week or over the weekend. I said, $300 billion going to rebuild Iran's infrastructure, zero going to rebuild our infrastructure here. And
our infrastructure is not doing so hot in the United States.
Mario, I don't know if you've been to the States lately, but our infrastructure here is not.
We're on the way to becoming a third world country. We're crumbling infrastructure, except in the gated communities where there's and the region right around the gated communities where there's good infrastructure, like maybe the Hamptons and part of New York, out there in the Hamptons where all the wealthy people live. There's the good infrastructure there. Not so much for the rest of the country.
Not doing good. It is not. It is not. Certain pockets are okay, certain wealthy zip codes, but this is starting to look a lot like the favela, the sort of Latin American, favelas where they have these giant homes and neighborhoods standing above everybody else. The rich people are fine, but the rest of us are dealing with diminished.
That is what defines a third world country. Areas of ultra affluence surrounded by an ocean of poverty. That is what a third world country is like. Does it sound like the United States? Not yet. The poverty needs to grow a little bit more still. Okay. Well, there are people working very hard at making that true.
Finished capacity of infrastructure. It's only getting worse.
There's the...
All right. That was a great video. But let's jump right into a continuation of that, which is... more reaction on how badly this negotiation is going for the United States.
I'd love to get your reaction to it, Professor.
So President Trump has already lost the bombing. He bombed, tried regime change, and Iran got stronger, got control of Hormuz.
Exactly.
Now President Trump is at great risk of losing the negotiations. Iran is not just has a good deal here, as I'm going to explain, Mario. This is a terrific deal, and it's going to get better.
That's the key part. It's going to get better. Because the final deal, that's in 60 days. And in 60 days, there's going to be oil shortages across the world. Iran's going to be in a much stronger position.
Over time. Iran is in the driver's seat. Now, where do we get the best information about the deal? Well, what really matters, and what matters to the shipper, so I want to be clear, this isn't just coming from the ivory tower academic, who is going to really determine the shipping going through the Strait of Hormuz? Well, Trump can say whatever he wants. He can come with forces whatever he wants. The people who will determine this are the shippers themselves. And what they're saying, and this has been right after the deal, what they are saying is that they demand a clearer statement from Iran that their security will be guaranteed by Iran.
They need a message by the IRGC that the Straits of Hormuz are open. That's what they need.
Not by the United States, not by the UAE, not by the Gulf states. They want Iran to make that statement. Now, in order to get that statement, maybe the MoU signing will help. We haven't seen the MoU. Maybe it's there. But what Iran is saying, and its deputy foreign minister is saying, is very clear. Right after Trump announced it, very clear statement, multiple immediate demands to have the deal. One of those big demands, and we'll talk about this, has to do with Lebanon. But another big demand is $12 billion up front. $12 billion up front. Now, whether that comes from the UAE, Qatar, it doesn't matter where it comes from. It's $12 billion up front. Then there's another $12 billion that's supposed to come at the end of the 60 days.
In
so you
August.
have sort of like a signing bonus, and then you have sort of like a completion bonus on the 60-day deal. But in between, every week, Mario, that Iran sells oil, it will make approximately $1 billion. So just think about it. $1 billion a week. So what Iran has, and this is just in the 60-day window. So I'm not getting to the nuclear issue. I'm focusing just on the immediate leverage that Iran is using and what they're doing to squeeze Trump in America. And what they are getting for this deal, and this is if it goes forward, of course, so it has to go forward. But what they're getting for this deal is approximately $20 to $30 billion. Just think about that. And there's no strings on that money. That money can be used for more drones. That money can be used for more missiles. That money can be used for drones and missiles to the Houthis and to Hezbollah.
Yep.
That is a terrific deal for Iran.
Yeah, it's it's an Iranian victory.
Now, why does it get even better over time? That's just the front end, Mario. So this
20 to 30 billion front end. Back end is another 12 billion plus.
starts out not just okay for Iran, this starts out terrifically for Iran. Now, why does it get better? I actually am going to explain. This is
The oil shortage this summer. That's why it gets better.
what I published in the Substack here yesterday. It's a detailed analysis. What happens over the next 30 to 60 days, this is this time when they're supposed to be talking, right? What happens in the next 30 to 60 days is that the oil inventories will run dry.
Yep.
That is, we are not stopping the draw on the oil inventories in the next 60 days. And the reason is because, and you've had some of these folks on your show, is that the getting the oil out of the
These super tankers move at the speed of bicycles. So just getting them into Iran to get the oil from wherever they are in the world will take like a month and a half.
Gulf and to the refineries, actually to its destination, is essentially a 30 to 60 day process at best. At best. It may even take a little bit longer. So during that period of time, that 60-day window, there will be no new oil coming into those clients, those consumers. They must continue to draw down their inventories.
Yep.
So what's going to happen, Mario, is Iran's leverage, which is already pretty great, and they are really squeezing.
We are on the verge of the oil shortage, but and that makes Iran have a lot of leverage. But once we are in the middle of the oil shortage, Iran's leverage will be even higher.
Donald Trump. I mean, everybody sees how desperate Trump is. This is not just a soft squeeze here on their part. They are squeezing Trump for somewhere, again, between 20 and 30 billion dollars in 60 days. Just think about how much that is. That's not over a year. That's just in 60 days. So and by the end of that 60 days, they can.
It must have become obvious to Trump, too, that the blockade of Iran, yes, it was hurting Iran, but the global economy would tank way before Iran went under. That's why he pivoted to this deal.
Can just repeat. They can do this again. And moreover, I said this yesterday, I laid this out, that this is a prescription for maximum leverage by Iran in about 60 days. Because if they cut it off again, It's not just like as bad as it was before. It's much worse because the world's buffer.
The threat of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, when the world is in the middle of actual oil shortages with no oil reserves whatsoever. My God, enormous leverage. It's it's game over. It's complete victory, Iran.
Are gone in 60 days. And the oil inventory experts are telling us you won't be able to put that inventory back, the oil back in the inventories until next year, because we're running on a knife's edge of supply and demand. So what that means is for months, Iran will have even bigger leverage than they have today, and they will be able to simply demand more. So if
Israel, get out of Lebanon.
If they want to cut it off because of Hezbollah in Lebanon, absolutely, they can. They're already building the case, you see. And so over the next 30 to 60 days, I can imagine a number of scenarios. I can imagine they receive the money, the straits open, and then as the 30, 60 days go, they keep complaining about Israel and Lebanon. And then magically at the end of 60 days, when they get their final 12 billion bucks, okay, they suddenly discover, well, they've had enough of Israel and Lebanon, unless and they shut down the strait again. This time, this is happening now in mid-August, just months away from the midterms. Just think of the pressure Trump is going to be under at that point.
Yeah.
We already have a problem for him. He knows he's got a big problem in the midterms. That's already weighing on him because of the oil inventory drawdown. The biggest problem for Trump is his deal doesn't refill the inventories. He doesn't get the buffer back. And as that buffer goes dry, that's a lot of additional leverage for Iran.
Absolutely. That's why, if you knew you were going to start a war with Iran, you should have filled up the strategic reserve another 200 million barrels. It would have given you such better negotiated position. But that would have required foresight and Trump planning for a long war, and he thought it was over in 3 days.
Coming. They can use it to squeeze Israel. They can use it to squeeze the U.S. to actually start withdrawing forces now. Remember, the deputy foreign minister, he's put out a number of things. He wants his 12 billion bucks. He wants Israel, and he wants the U.S. forces gone. Well, he's laying out, I think, the quite expected. I don't know if I'd call them reasonable, because Iran's in the driver's seat. But this is what you would expect on your way to regional primacy. They are drip by drip by drip in a clear sequence any realist would understand. This is realism 101. They are using the negotiations for power maximization. This is not negotiations to be softies. They are squeezing every bit they can out of Trump and the world essentially as well for power. And that power is going to grow over time.
Which is why Iran is going to emerge from this as the region's hegemon, not Israel.
And this is exactly what you would expect. They have gained power. Negotiations now are a tool for more power. And Trump is just simply, he's just weak. And that's what everybody is seeing. If
you start a war from a position of absolute weakness, this is a result.
If there is an opportunity for Trump to right the balance here in the short term, within a few weeks, there's only one recourse, and he doesn't want to do it, which is bombing or something even worse. Because if he does that, he'll alienate another part of his mega base. So he is caught here where Iran is in the driver's seat. Iran is gaining power, and it is about to enter its period of maximum leverage. And that will go on through January at least.
Yeah, sucks to be Trump. You committed political suicide by starting this Iran war. Well, I think that's pretty much the Iran situation right now. This will be on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Come watch on Kick or Twitch. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.